Yo, everyone, welcome to the first episode of the MTB FraudCast. Over here with Corbin, my boy Denny Janetti. For those who haven't seen Denny, because we don't actually ride together because we don't live close to each other. Um, Denny, kick us off with an intro. What are you on about?
We're just here, and every time you say MTV Fraudcast, I'm gonna smile because I think it's funny every time because I think it is exactly the perfect thing. This episode we're gonna be doing a little talking about injuries in mountain biking. We thought it was a little poetic because unfortunately, we'd rather not be talking about this, but unfortunately, Corbin is laid up for a bit, so we figured this would be a good opportunity to kind of kick this whole fraudulence off, you know?
The fraudulence. Yeah, so both Denny and I are not like professional bikers by any sense. I think we both just love this sport, and
Yep.
uh, we've done like one podcast before because you've kind of done the podcast thing, talking to some people.
Yeah.
Um, we had a pretty good episode. It was fun to just kind of chat about mountain bike stuff, and so we
Yep.
figured while I'm like off the bike for the foreseeable future, this would just be a cool time for us to hang out and talk about normal people mountain biking stuff. So just a bunch of
Yeah.
frauds out here.
Yeah, no, it's gonna be super fraudulent. No, yeah, we kind of we kicked this idea around a little bit from I think even just like I think when was that? We did this like January, I think, or maybe even it was like before
Wow, was it
January.
that long ago?
It
That's
may have been even
nuts.
earlier than that. It was in the winter, I remember that. But no, we get along pretty well. We literally live on opposite sides of the country. Like it is, and I love the idea that this is going to be like the two like East Coast, West Coast, like diametrically like opposed like opinions on things. But I
Yeah.
think we're pretty like-minded in a lot of stuff like this. But yeah, man, feel free to take it away and
Yeah.
let's get
So
into it.
yeah, episode one, we're gonna talk about just like injuries in mountain biking. It is mountain biking is tough. It is like not for the faint of heart, and it's kind of wild. So if like you've been watching my channel, you know that I had a pretty serious, well, I shouldn't say serious crash. It was a pretty dumb crash, like super not serious, but the injury from it was very serious. And so I actually had six fractures in total on this hand. I broke my pointer finger pretty much in half, and then the middle finger, and then my ring finger had three fractures in and of itself. So
Jeez.
it was like a free thing. I was racing at my local like enduro track and just like lost the front end on not even like a scary feature, not even a really fast section. It was just like one lapse of focus and lost the front end, went down, and my hand just hit perfectly like against a root, and it my fingers pretty much just folded over. So had surgery last Thursday. So this is like Saturday. Now we're filming it. So it's been a few days. The hand does not feel super great. They put two pins in,
God.
like screws, and then a plate inside my like what is it, my ring finger, with a bunch of screws in that plate just because there were so many different breaks in there that they couldn't do like one screw to kind of hold everything together. So um, lots of hardware in there. I don't know if they're going to come out. I think the plate's going to eventually come out. The screws probably won't. But it's like in a cast for minimum, 2 months, and then just a bunch of like physical therapy to try and get my hand back to being able to ride like technical, pretty much anything with bumps. Cause like when you're on the
Yeah.
handlebars, like just being able to take the abuse of
Yeah.
mountain biking, it's going to take a lot of physical therapy and time for that to happen. So my season's pretty much done riding, which, it is kind of what it is. It's like it's what you risk whenever you step on a bike, you know?
Yeah, it's kind of like it is kind of I guess crappy for the like lack of a better word, a more PC word than the one I want to use, but it is it's tough because it is you never go into anything expecting like, yep, gonna hurt myself today, like this is what's gonna happen, and it just it's like you never really appreciate your hand until you don't have the use of it. Like, you know what I
Bro.
mean? Yeah, like you don't really like I snapped my arch bone in my foot when I was a senior in high school, and I didn't appreciate walking as much as I did when I was that age. But it's like it's interesting to me too because it's like it kind of just does come with the territory. And it is kind of like you know, you could there's a lot of hobbies out there, like, and I'm sure you've tried a bunch. I've tried a bunch. Like, you know, I was super into fishing for a little bit. I was super into like golfing for I'm sorry, please boo me. Like, but like, yeah, you could like pull a muscle, you could do whatever. But like I think like I saw something the other day, like the spinal injuries in like mountain bikers is like something times whatever like normal sports.
Oh,
Like
I'm sure.
and obviously you don't wanna think about that, and you try not to, but, like, I have 2 rules when it comes to especially riding the bike park, 'cause I'm a park bro. I always take care of the head, and I take care of my spine. So I always wear a back protector, and I always wear a helmet.
Yeah.
So, like, those are, like, if anybody gets anything out of this, like, your hand, you know, it hurts now, but your hand will heal. Your spine will not, and your brain will not.
So true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, like, I'm sure you've seen a bunch of other people, but, like, what do I was curious about this. What do you think it is that, like, makes it so, I guess, like, open to injury? I mean, obviously, it's, like, like, the nature of it, but it's, like, such a high rate.
Yeah. I don't know. It's just like the sport, like we kind of talk about, being safe and like, yeah, wearing helmets and everything. I just feel like the level that the sport has gotten is like so
Mhm.
high
Yeah.
and just the difficulty that the tracks are like when you go to a modern bike park and it's like we're just throwing a bunch of boulders in the way, like I don't know, bikes have gotten so good that it's pushing like normal people to be able to do like harder and harder stuff that it's just
Right.
I don't know, it comes with just the territory of like you're stepping on a bike and it's gonna get potentially rowdy. And it's like I don't know, it's just this sport deserves so much respect that any amount of like lap of focus or just those split seconds thinking like, oh, I'm fine, I'm just chilling, it's like an easy run. You could just have a
Right.
slip, and then it's just like how your body lands. Like we're going decent speeds, we're going down
Oh,
steep
yeah.
stuff that it's like I've had way gnarlier crashes where I
Yeah.
was not injured, right? And so
Right.
sometimes it's almost like, are we just flipping coins out here? You
Yeah,
know?
that is it is funny you say that too, because I was gonna ask, is this, like, your first, like, real major, like, dust up or, like,
Yeah,
actual
it's the first one that's like a proper break from biking.
okay.
I had slammed my knee pretty good on a
Mhm.
rock and I was like wearing knee pads and it kind of busted up some cartilage.
Okay.
And that took me off the bike for a couple weeks, but nothing was like I got an x-ray, nothing was broken. This is like the first real break. But
Mhm.
again, like when you look at the crash, it was like, first of all, how could I have crashed on that section? Like I'm way better than that. But then two, it's just like my hand hit so perfectly, and that's like a
Yeah.
flip of the dice. So they're just rolling the dice, it feels like. Because you could protect, like you could wear your helmet, you could wear your like the back protector, knee pads, elbow pads.
There's not much you can do for your hands, unfortunately. And
Yeah, it's
those are
like,
and that's usually what's gonna probably that and your collarbone are what's gonna take most of the brunt of everything, really. Because
yeah,
I mean, your first instinct is put your hands out. I mean, you've been anytime you've fallen off anything, you put your hands out, and there's what are you gonna do? You know what I mean? There's really
yeah,
nothing you can do.
yeah. And so that like that sucked, just the whole crash. But when you're talking about like just like missing a hand. Dude, some
Oh,
of
yeah.
like the normal stuff around the house, like showering, I can't get this thing wet. So I'm just like holding it in the air. And my wife's like looking at
Sorry.
me like, "Oh, you're striking another pose." And I'm like,
Like,
I'm just trying to
I'm in pain.
yeah.
Please leave me alone.
Yeah.
It is
But
it's tough. Dude, it's tough.
yeah.
Last summer I broke my toe. It's not as debilitating as that. I think I was off the bike for like 2 weeks at the most, but I don't like I have a bad track record of letting things heal, unfortunately, but yeah, and it's such it a lot of the times it's such like innocuous things where it's like you said, like when you were riding, you're like, how did I fall here? Like I was riding a trail I rode 300 times and I took it just a tad bit too wide and I winged my foot off a rock. and I've rode that trail dozens of times,
Yeah.
and I've never once even like I've seen the rock, but I'm like, yeah, it's fine. I've gone by, but that one time, just the tiny like margin of error, like and it cost me, it cost me a couple weeks. It cost me a trip down to Virginia. I was supposed to go down and ride there, and it didn't work
Dang.
out. But yeah, like trust me, I think like this might even be like jumping ahead a little bit, but like this is on my mind, and I'm curious from your point of view because uh, is is this gonna not inhibit, but is this gonna change something like in the future for you? Like, how do you think that it's gonna affect you going forward? Because I'm very curious about this because I'm older than you, and and I have a little bit like I do have that self preservation sometimes. Like I think as you get older, you get that.
For sure.
Like, unfortunately, like, it crosses your mind every now and then, especially, like, if you're at the bike park and you see somebody wreck it, and I mean, obviously, you never want to see that. And you're in your head, you're like, Jesus Christ, I hope it's not my, like, I hope I don't have to
Yeah.
pay the dirt tax type thing. But, like, going forward, do you, like, really, like, I'm curious, like, what your attitude is going forward about with this. I know maybe it's a little too soon, but, like, I'm just curious where your head's at with that.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely something I've been thinking about, and I feel like it probably changes, almost by the day. Um, because I was before the crash, I was feeling really good. Like,
Yeah, dude, you were ripping.
yeah, the I was on like a new bike,
Yeah.
from Propane. Like the Spindrift was just I was getting that feeling dialed. I was hitting the biggest gaps I've ever done, the biggest jumps. I was doing some pretty gnarly, like unsanctioned lines, just like confidently and consistently. Um, and so I was feeling really good. And then I was kind of gearing up for like race season. Like I was watching Jack Moyer, like Moy Moy TV. I was just
Hmm.
like getting obsessed with his videos and the enduro
Yeah.
world and was like, let me try and push this a little bit. Did the Ravens Ridge downhill, was pretty happy with, trying that racecraft. And then this crash happened. And like I said, it wasn't on anything gnarly. And so I'm thinking of like, I'm not scared to get back on the bike and to
Right.
do the gnarlier stuff still, because that's not what my issue was, I guess. Like I seriously think it was just I rolled the dice and I rolled bad
Yeah.
on this crash. But at the same time, I'm like, yeah, do I want to try and just like practice that racecraft, get in that mindset, go really fast, and still put myself in that risk? I don't know yet. I've been really toying with the idea of like creating my own race series with some friends up
Oh.
here called like Homies Only or something,
The
and
fraud
get
race league.
yeah, like a fraud race league where I just get like five of the dudes,
Yeah,
and we can create our own like race, our own tracks.
that's
Um,
sick.
Probably not have it on like Strava. There's a like Web Scorer is an app I've been doing some research in,
Okay.
which is like it's a free timing system.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um, and so it'd be fun to do that, create, a race structure at mountains that we all like kind of love in the Pacific Northwest. And then, I mean, we could take it a step further, and I'm thinking like designing custom shirts per mountain.
Oh,
Like
that's
each
sick.
dude like hosts it. We do maybe like 4 or 5 in the summer, and it's a
Nice.
way less like, I don't know, entry fee. Like we're not paying $150 to
Yes.
race at these things and like wait in line. It's essentially just a day out with the boys, but you're
Yeah.
really focused on like PRing every
Right.
track. You're doing
I,
top to
lo-
bottoms. Like,
I love the idea of that. I really do. I mean, as I've kind of like, I haven't taken, I've dipped my toe in a little bit. Racing out here is a little bit different. It's more
yeah,
of
you
a,
just did a race.
yeah, so that's a very like amateur thing. They do it. It's done legit at my local bike park, Mountain Creek. They chip you and everything, but it's like very. They call it Thursday night race league. So every Thursday they pick a different trail and they basically say, hey, have at it. And they have some like pretty legit like pros that will race there. Like I
Mhm.
don't. I'll name drop him, but his name's George Ryan. Like he used to race UCI. Like him and Skills with Phil like came up together. Like those. Like there are some
That's
legit
sick.
guys there.
Yeah.
And for me, it's like the thing is like different out there. Is like I know that they have like a ton of like enduro races and like here's something here. Like something's always happening. Here, there's two on the East Coast, in the Northeast where I live. There's the Eastern State Cup Intense Downhill Series, and then there's the Monster Pro Downhill Series. And as I've started to like dip my toe, I didn't realize like how expensive it was. Like I really didn't. And again, I'm not sponsored by anybody really who's giving me anything money. Like I do
Right.
have a couple sponsors, but it's all handshake agreement.
Yeah.
And it's tough because it's like I've been there. Like so I was at the Monster Pro Downhill Series at Mountain Creek. And guys like Aaron Gwynn are showing up and Nico Mullally are like in line next to me. And I'm like very feeling insecure about this. And I'm like, and I wasn't supposed to race, but like the attitude and the vibe kind of wasn't what I was looking for. Like
Sure.
for me, like I just want to race because I want to prove to myself I can. I want to do like just one and just say to like I do like some big time race and be like I did it, whatever. But now like and then like bringing it back to the injury thing, it's like I rode the course that I was supposed to race, and I was like, whoa. I'm like, this is like way this. I mean, I wrote it, but there's no way I could race pace this. This is like
Sure.
no chance. And I think like and I'm curious to see how you feel. Do you like with this injury is like I find myself now, maybe it's because I'm 33, not getting any younger, but it's like I hear that voice in my head because I'm starting now to like get out of that intermediate rider range and get more
Mhm.
into the advanced rider range. And like I'm learning to kind of jump. And it's like that's sort of where my alarm bells go off, where I'm like ground good, air bad, like like that type of thing. I don't know. Do you get that, or like, or is it more just like, or is it
Yeah.
just like you're really good at just like shutting it off? Because like when I'm like low and like not low and slow, but like when I'm on fast tech, I am tunnel vision and I'm very good with that. But you put me on a tabletop, I'm like, nah.
Yeah. No, it's
Yeah.
it's so true. It's like I'm with you for the longest time, and even now, I like technical writing is so fun. Like just smashing a
Hmm.
rock garden, like point
It's the
and
best.
shoot down. Like my favorite kind of riding is making a chunky section of trail smooth,
Hmm.
um, and like that's super fun. But then going to the jump thing, there was a pretty big mental block for a long time for me and
Right.
like being comfortable in the air. But like I mentioned before the crash, I was getting much more comfortable in that.
Right.
Like I was hitting a 25-foot gap. Like if you would have said that even at the beginning of last season, I would have been like, you're high out of your mind. Like there's no way.
Right.
But it's like, I don't know. It was feeling good. I was kind of toying that line of safety, but it felt like within my level of confidence. Like I never went up to something and was like, I am probably gonna crash here. It was like, no, I can most certainly do this.
Right.
Right. But again, it's like rolling the dice. It's like you hit the big gap, that's
Right.
sick, but that I could have just as easily dead sailored on a huge gap and then gone down, broke my collarbone, broke my shoulder, like whatever it is.
Right.
And then this
Exactly.
one is like so easy, you know? So it's like, I don't know, jumping is kind of weird, but what you're talking about is like doing race pace at anything and like getting
Yeah.
in that mindset of like
Yes.
all of these pros are next to me. They're they're able to kind of turn that. I don't even want to say turn it off because they've talked about now of like how fast and like how close the competition
Yeah.
is like it's crazy gnarly. And the speeds that they're going with is just like it's not safe. It really just isn't. And like, is
No.
that worth it to try and like to spend money to put yourself in a risky situation? Like I get it to prove to yourself that you can do it,
Yeah.
but are there ways to get that like validation with just like your friends and a little bit more
Right.
tame environment? Is like probably
I honestly think that's really interesting because it's like for me, my race journey here, Jesus, I throw my keyboard. Yeah, I'm so excited. Um, um, no, like the thing for me is like, so I mean, I was a collegiate athlete until I was a junior. I played lacrosse for a few years in college, and that competitiveness sort of left. Not, it kind of doesn't leave you, but like I've found this sport. I didn't start until I was 30. I'm 33 now. I've only been riding for 3 years. Like I raced BMX when I was younger, but it's I want to do it just to prove that I can. I don't really care as much, like as much as like that. But like the thing that's interesting is like is is there a way to scratch that kind of itch?
right.
And it's like you can compete amongst yourself, but it's like there's something about like putting
Bragging
yourself
rights, dude.
yeah, but there's even like the thing I love most about mountain biking is like my best riding buddy is Andre, my buddy Andre, and me and him, he's like 10 years my junior, but we push each other. And like
Mhm.
we're like, no, 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 I'm gonna do this faster. But it's always like, I'm so stoked for you when you
Yes.
beat me. And like the vibe I've gotten from like racing is like it kind of is the opposite, which obviously makes sense. And you are competing and that's fine. But the one thing that like it gets me is like so that trail I rode on my race, I've rode that trail a million times,
Mhm.
but I've never done it at a race pace. And I'm like pedaling through sections that I've never taken a crank in. And then
Yeah.
I'm coming up to a berm at a speed that I'm not used to and I'm not ready for it. And on one of there's a really strong G out as I went back into the woods. I almost blew a pedal. And it's like, if you're not ready for that, that could be how you get hurt because you could have rode whatever section of trail a million times. But if you've never done it at race pace, like the I think the preparation for racing is I think a little bit more than some people think or could
Yeah.
think
Well, and
because
like for the preparation, I think that's a super cool topic. Like you said, you have ridden that trail like 100 times. Did you do
right.
any prep like before? Did you know when you were racing, like you were going into it thinking,
I knew the trail the day there. I took a couple runs on it just to see. And then it rained, so they shut the lift down. And then they started racing right after it. So I had no idea what the conditions were on the trail.
oof,
So I was like, oh, okay. And I mean, it's like pretty flowy and it drains pretty well, but there were some real soft pockets. And it's like, could I have done better? Could I have been safer? Absolutely. I could have spent most of the day doing that, but I didn't. But I was like, yeah, I've rode that a million times. And then as I G out and almost blow a tire, I'm like,
yep,
oh God. So that's the thing that's crazy to me is like that voice of like self preparation. But I do think like that is also the beauty of mountain biking is like when you look at something and your brain goes, nope, and then you just do it and you stop. Like that's like there's no high quite like that. And I
yeah,
think but it's the balance. So you know what I mean? Like and I'm sure you've been there where there's things where you go like you're the road gap at the bike park you were talking about a while
yeah,
ago, and you were like, not today, and you knew, but then like you went back and you're like, and I'm sure there was a voice in the back of your head that was like, I don't know. And then you just did it and you're like, "Oh my god, it feels so good."
yeah.
But
No,
that
it's crazy. Just like that, that fulfillment of doing something that is just hard and it pushes your adrenaline out. Like
yeah.
it's mountain biking can put you in a pretty uncomfortable,
Mhm.
safe spot, but
Right.
just the mental fortitude to get over that is it is like adrenaline rush, it is like kind of a high. And that's what I think racing does do, like honing your craft. Like I did a lot of clean and threes, which
Yeah.
was super fun, right? And that's what racing is just doing the same track, getting familiar with it, and then putting yourself like under the pressure of the clock and being like, yeah, I'm gonna push, I'm gonna go for it. And I'm gonna, quiet that voice in the back of your head a little bit.
Yeah.
Um, I think there is part of that that's like super good and rewarding. I think there's just a way for me to do it that's like one, more affordable, and two, not as pressure.
Right.
And three, just like more fun with the friends, right?
Yes.
And so I think like going way back to like the hand injury thing is um I I think that sounds more fun than doing like a full enduro series, like a full summer of just like racing enduro or doing like downhill and everything.
Yeah.
Um, but at the same time, I wanted to bring up like Jackson Goldstone. I don't know if you've
Yes.
been like following his career, but last year he had an injury at Hardline, which isn't part of like UCI, right? It's like Red
Yeah.
Bull's own event.
It's a separate event. Yeah.
Yeah, but that's like before any of the UCI, he blew his knee. I think it was like
Right.
ACE or MCL, ACL, I don't know. But it took him out the whole season.
Right.
And now he comes back, and spoiler warning for anyone not in the scene, whatever.
Listen, people, it's the internet. You could have seen it.
You could have seen
It's
it.
not our problem.
The guy's won three in a row.
It's
Like
insane, dude.
he got, I think, second or third first race, and then won the next two, three, four. Like that's crazy being a whole season off because of an injury on the
Yep.
bike, coming back and being like, I'm just gonna smoke everyone. Like, what?
It's also crazy too because injuries like that used to be like career death sentences or just like in my, bringing it back to like what I know, like I knew a guy in college who blew his ACL out. He missed almost 2 full years, and he was never the same athlete. And now it's like, I mean, that's 10-ish years ago. And now it's just like, yeah, we'll do this, we'll do that, rehab it really hard. And like you said, now he's back on it. But I mean, granted, he is younger, so it does
Sure.
help. But like, I also think too, and I know this is, I don't want this to sound callous, but it might come off that way, but it's it's kind of like it's not good to see. That's not the way I want to say it, but it's like these guys have crashes too. And it's
Yeah.
like, like, so like don't get too down on yourself if you have one as well. Like, I mean, I mean, I'll just say it. He's the best. Jackson Golson's the best rider in the world right now.
Yeah.
Like he's the best at his craft. And it's like even he can really have a bad injury. And then like I think it like speaks to volumes of like somebody being able to go through something so traumatic like that and then just be able to get back on the bike and just be even better.
Yeah.
Because I think too, and like this is maybe something that kind of goes hand in hand with with being off the bike and injuries and stuff. Because I've gone through it too, is like the mental like health aspects of like being off the bike and being injured. Like that stinks. Like, yeah, your bones will heal, and the surgeries will stick and all that stuff. But then it's like it sucks to not be able to ride. You know what I mean? And like, I mean, and I know it's early on for you, but like, how have you been combating that? Is it like
Yeah.
how's it been going with
It's
that? Like, I
hard.
know that it is very hard, and I think that's
Yeah.
like people see scars and people see breaks and stuff, but they don't always see like the heartbreak with not being able to ride the bike, for the lack of a better word. I
Yeah.
understand that.
I mean, it's hard. And like it, I've definitely gone down some like YouTube doom scrolling where I'll just spend like 4 hours just consuming a whole bunch of content, even
Yes.
watching some of my own content because I'm like, let me just try and immerse myself in a ride.
Right.
And I had a buddy who he had a crash that like broke both surgeries. Oh wait, hold on. I got that notification, so we got a couple more minutes.
Okay.
Um, but I had a buddy who, yeah, crashed. He had to get surgery on both his shoulders.
Oh
And that
God.
put him in a really tough spot because, like, not to name names, if you know, you know. But like mountain biking was kind of how he found like his happiness and his peace. But it
Yeah.
was almost like he over indexed on that. And
Right.
so during this time, it's like I joke with people that like mountain biking is my whole personality, but there's like so many other things that, I love to do. Like I'm organizing
Right.
this race series next year with my friends.
Hmm.
I do a bunch of like reading, like I love fantasy books. So
Hell
I
yeah.
like have queued up, a couple books to read. Um, in the winter, I'll go dig at the local spot. So even though I can't
Hmm.
like ride that much, I'll be able to, do some digging, hang out with the
Right.
wife. Like there's just plenty of other things to do. That being said, it's still sad to see all your friends like go to the bike park and you're like, oh, I
Right.
can't do it. But at the same time, it's like it is kind of what you said, like the dirt tags,
Yeah.
and like there, I don't know, there
Yeah.
are other things. It'll be okay. We'll move forward. Um, if like, Jackson can come back from injury like that, if Burner Kerr can come back from an injury like that,
Right.
my friend came back from his injury and now he's like
Right.
ripping on the bike. It's like we can do it.
And I just think like I only bring that up, and like I don't mean to like put anybody on the spot or whatever, but it's like, listen, if your buddy like goes down and he's off the bike, like check on him. You know what I mean? Don't
Yeah,
just be like, hey, how's the hand? Like, hey, you want to grab some beers, or you want to, grab something to eat. Like that stuff goes a long way. It really does. And it's like, and I think that's something like what you just said that resonated really well with me is like for me, like this sport has like been my happy place. Like it has been such a life changing experience for me. And I mean that, like, and it's like, you can't just like you said put your eggs all in one basket.
yeah,
And it is like obviously you want to be doing the thing you love the most, but it is good that you do have a bunch of other things too, because sitting around being sorry for yourself like isn't going to make your hand feel any
no,
better. You know what I mean? And it's like and I know it is like you said, but like once you get back, listen, you will get back, and,
yeah.
and you will be there too. So all right.
It was crazy though, like the amount of support from
Yeah,
my
dude, you're
video that I put
you're a
out is
good
like,
dude, man. You're like, listen, like,
dude, it was nuts.
dude, and nobody first. The one thing I've learned about this community is, and this is something I really want to highlight because if the guys are watching, every single goddamn person that went by you in the middle of the race asked you if you were okay. That makes me so happy. And
Yeah.
I know obviously you wish it didn't happen, but like I was talking to Jamal. Like I found out about this before you even did it because I was talking to Jamal, asking him how the race went. And he mentioned it. He's like, yo, check in on he told me, he goes, yo, check in on Corbin. He's like, he hurt himself pretty bad.
Yeah.
And I'm like, and then I saw the video what happened, and I literally told him, I'm like, dude, you have earned like not that he didn't have my respect, but like I was like, I respect you guys so much for like looking after your buddy like that. Like that makes me so happy. And like, and that's another PSA to all of you guys and girls out there. If you see someone on the side of the trail who looks like they might be hurt, I don't care if you're having the best Strava time, if you're having the best run of your life, stop. Do
You know
like
what's
stop.
crazy is I had a comment and they were like, it's so nice to see all the people like checking up on you and everything. And that's part of the rule. Like that's part of the rules in enduro. If
That's
you see
awesome.
someone on the side, you ask them for help. The sad thing is the amount of people that I edited out that didn't say anything as they went by.
Mm,
And I was like, it did kind of hurt. At the same time, it's like I've also been in that race mode where maybe you just don't it
right.
just doesn't come up. Like I kind of get that, but at the same time, it was probably like a 50-50 mix of people like asking, "Are you okay?" and then people
Right.
just like totally in the zone and go through it. But
I get it.
dude, the amount of support of like Jeff not even caring about finishing the race and just getting me to the ER, Dan
That's
walking the bike down, like
that's awesome.
yeah, it can be, and the thing is like it can be anyone, and
Right.
Jamal's helped people get down the track before when they got
Yeah.
injured.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
like,
I called last year, like this like 15-year-old kid broke his heel on a big like hip. And the amount of people that kept just hitting the hip and going right by, I'm like, yo, I'm like, and granted, they might be younger or whatever. They to them they don't give a crap, but I'm like, check on your fellow riders, like you know what I mean, like
yeah.
that's like super important to me. So
Recording in progress. All right, the frauds are back. Back at it. Thanks for that commercial break.
you thought we were going to be less fraudulent?
You
Guess
thought
again.
wrong.
You thought wrong. Absolutely not.
One thing that I definitely want to talk on is kind of like injury prevention. And you've kind of talked about some of that stuff because you've dealt with some things that could put you off the bike. And it's not really crash related.
Right. So that's an excellent segue. Congratulations. We're really getting the hang of this. We're
I'm
one
just
episode in, we're
bulldozing
pros.
through.
Oh my God, we're so fraudulent. I love it. No, so I have scoliosis in my neck and in my lower back.
So
And
what is like give me a dumbed
so
down version.
so scoliosis means my spine is not straight. If you noticed, I fidget in my chair quite a lot, so I get quite uncomfortable, and my neck has a curve to the left. So my head sits on an angle, and it has messed up like my neck muscles, and I've had plenty of issues with that in the past. And obviously, it's become important to me as I've gotten older because it's now kind of something I realize because it kind of went undiagnosed for a long time. So something that's really tough for me that some people might not kind of maybe understand is I can't wear certain helmets because they're too heavy. And when I'm riding at the downhill park all day, after a few runs, my neck muscles become very, very tense and they start to spasm. And then like my neck muscles can get pulled or go into spasm
And that's
and
because it's like it's just sitting like
it's too much weight forward. So as I'm sitting in my attack position, it's like my neck is sitting here, and
huh.
since it's not like firing on all cylinders because it has the curve, it's putting
Yeah.
a lot of tension on a certain part of the neck. So I don't know if you can see it behind me. So this POC helmet is what I used to wear, and it's a great helmet. Like I have nothing wrong with it. It's very safe. It's very comfortable, but it's too heavy. So I wound up having to buy this Giro right here, which is I think it's like almost a full pound lighter. And it's
Dang.
made all the difference because I've had times where I've rode really hard for like a couple days and my neck will go out and it'll take me off the bike for about a week or so before while the muscles heal because it's essentially just pulling something in your back or your leg. So things like that are just as important as like kind of like looking after yourself for like, hey, well, I'll wear a helmet, but like knowing your body, I guess. Like, I don't
Yeah.
know if you have anything sort of like that, but it's like, if like you have asthma or something like that, you take your inhaler before a ride. It's like similar to this. It's like doing, I know it sounds stupid, but like doing stretches and stuff goes like such a long way. Like
No, that's not silly. My buddy Jeff, so him and my buddy Nate, who were with me on the enduro race,
right.
both of them did like, I don't know, probably an hour to an hour and a half of stretches like the night before and then the morning of to
Whoa.
get prepared. And they're like, that's a very standard thing.
That's insane. That's cool. I mean, like, that's awesome to hear. Like, I mean, I do my typical old guy stretches prior to like riding my bike. I don't go that crazy, but it's like, I mean, that's awesome to see because
Dude,
I mean,
I've never stretched before a ride ever. And like,
really,
I'm not super young, I'm 29,
right,
but it's like, that's the stuff that on this time off, one of my goals is to do enough stretches where I can like touch my toes finally, like when I'm standing up.
right,
And it's like, I actually had to Google it because I was like, what does stretching really benefit? Like, is
right,
stretching beneficial? And
yeah,
yeah, for the injury prevention
yeah,
like realm, right? So like for
strength,
scoliosis, do you have to like, I don't know what you would do,
right.
but
I essentially like I do a lot of massage therapy for it just to kind of like get them less pissed off at me because I mean but like my job is I'm on my feet all day. I'm a literal train conductor. Like I'm putting handbrakes on trains and things like that. So
yeah,
then to go ride 2 days at the bike park in a row, my body's like, hey, maybe don't, and it's
maybe
just like,
not.
I'm like, shut up, brain, you don't know. It's just
Yeah,
like, but like, yeah, and it's like, as you get older, you start seeing these things. Like I said, I'm only a couple years your senior, but it's like, you start to notice those things. You're not as bulletproof as you once were. And like, listen, I'm still doing pretty well. I'm still fairly young at the age of 33, but it's like, those preventative things do go a long way. And unfortunately, like, hopefully, the one good thing that can come out of this is that like you do sort of try to be a little more preventative towards things like that because like
yeah,
what
for
I've been off,
sure.
and granted it's like there's no amount of stretching that's gonna prevent your hand when you punch a tree. Like there's just no
Yeah,
like
yeah,
there's just nothing you can do about that, unfortunately. But it's like, hey, listen, you pull your groin or something like that could take you off the bike for a couple weeks, like things like that. So I'm only as keenly aware of it because like I've fought this for a long time and I've fought my asthma for a long time. So I have to be like very kind of like keen on like make sure I take my inhaler 20 minutes before I go, make sure I stretch when I get to the top of the mountain, make sure I'm wearing the right helmet. Because for the longest time I was wearing my enduro full face at the bike park and like that's not the safest thing to do, but it was like comfortable because then like I wasn't riding, and I'm sure you've had those days where you've had something nagging you and you're riding and like the bike's here, but your brain is over here and you're
yeah.
like thinking about something else. So I was like, that's a risk I'm willing to take. So let me ask you this because this is actually something that just popped into my head. Do you have any like weird quirks about like equipment, like safety equipment you ride? Because I have one that I'm
What
like
is yours? Let me hear yours.
I do not like riding with an open faced helmet. I do not like doing it.
With it, oh, like
Half shell.
just a hat, yeah.
I do not like doing it. It could be the chillest lap. I just don't feel comfortable doing it. I don't know why.
I feel like that's not that quirky because I'm in the same boat, and it's like
Okay.
part of it is because I film everything,
Yeah.
right? And
Yeah.
like not
Right.
everything goes on YouTube, but
Right.
I always want to watch it back.
You mean you
Uh,
don't document every second of your life? What the hell,
that's
man?
crazy.
Come on.
But
Why bother?
it literally, if it's like if it's not recorded, did it even happen? But
No,
it's
dude.
like
I ride my bike for internet points. That's it. Nothing else.
the half shell thing is a bit scary. What's interesting though is I say that because I also like if you have a crash, I want to protect like your teeth. Like I want to protect my teeth, right? And like my face and
Right.
everything. But because of where the camera sits, a lot of times my helmet like comes down. And so it's as if my face is almost fully open
Right.
anyway. And
Right.
it's like it's still a small helmet. Like I can't really go smaller.
Right.
And so I can't really fix that. But I don't know, maybe if I like have something like above here, but I would say I'm with you on the helmet thing. I don't think that's super weird. I think there's a lot of people that's just like
Okay,
a full face is it,
interesting.
you know. I
I
think
also
knee pads are weird. I think if you don't ride with knee pads, that's super questionable to me.
okay. So all right, I'm gonna indict myself here. I don't. I
How do you not ride with knee pads?
okay. So I have a really all right. So I have a really nice pair of Troy Lee ones, and I wore them all last year. And then they started. There's something defective in them, or something's wrong. They started like to the point where like I bled. It chafed that bad.
Ooh,
So
like
so
on
I've
behind the knee?
no on the like under your knee, like on my tibula. Like I've
Oh,
there's something I don't know if it's just because they don't fit well. I mean, they fit me fine, but like I just like sometimes I'll wear like those enduro ones, but
okay.
most of the time I don't. And I know I should, but I don't because the way I see it is if I'm gonna again, head and back for me are like the two biggest things. I don't like how cumbersome they are. And maybe I haven't found the right pair and
Yeah.
maybe that's something like worth exploring, but like I'll never use elbow pads. I just won't. I
Okay.
don't.
I'm into that.
I've never so you have to I again, I grew up like I said racing BMX and riding street BMX. And I never wore a helmet when I was riding BMX in the street. And when I raced, I wore a pair of gloves and I wore a full face helmet. That was it. And granted, I was young, so I wasn't going very
Sure.
fast. But like, I know I should, and I have in the past. I just for me, like, I almost feel like being a little more free is kind of worth it. I don't know if you agree with that, but
I mean I don't agree,
that's
but
okay.
like Dale Stone, I am a huge fan of him and
Right.
his riding, his control. He doesn't ride with knee pads either. And
Hmm.
he's talked about it before, and he's like, he'll never put himself in a position where he would crash.
Hmm.
And so, like, I think that's a weak argument though, because then you could say, like, well, why a
I
helmet?
never buy that argument, so
Yeah, I don't
I'll
buy
be
that
honest.
argument. And maybe he's gone in more detail, so I don't want to put like words in his mouth, but
And
again,
Dale,
my
if you're
crash was
listening, feel
like,
free to come on and be fraudulent with us, Dale, if you're listening.
yeah,
Just
for
being
sure.
honest. Yeah.
But like, I I wasn't planning on crashing, and
No,
I had the worst injury of my
I
life.
don't like that argument. I really
You know what I
don't.
mean?
I agree with you. It's like the well, I'm not gonna do
I
that.
don't
It's like,
plan on it. It's like, well, yeah, no one plans on doing it, but like,
hey
you
dude,
could
what are you
lose your
doing
life
today?
doing
Oh,
this.
I'm gonna go ride and I'm about to go eat shit real hard, dude.
Yeah,
Like it's like, are you sure? Like, no, that's what I want to do. Like
yeah.
it's
It's like,
no,
come on,
I
man.
agree. I need to do I've tried to do more research, but I got burned because there's like I think maybe the difference is where you live and where I live. There aren't like these stores that I can really go kind of like try these things on. I have to order everything kind of online, and I got
Yeah,
burned on those, and those were not cheap. They're like $250, and they're great knee pads. They cut me, and it's like it got infected, and I was like, oh, I thought I just brushed it off as once. Maybe it was like a really sweaty day or something like that,
sure.
but it kept happening.
What
Um,
about like pants? Because there's like some pants that have.
I always ride. So I always ride in pants. That's another thing
Okay,
too. I don't wear shorts. I don't like doing it. I just don't like wearing shorts in general unless it's around the house. Maybe it's just my body type. Maybe because I'm built like a Russian nesting doll. Who knows? I don't know. But no, I always ride at the bike park. I always have DH pants, and then even when I go on a ride, like I found these Wrangler pants that are like stretchy, so I wear those. But I do know that those exist. Again, I'm a bigger guy, so like buying pants online is like kind of tough sight unseen. So
and it's true also because like even on Jensen, and like I'm an ambassador for Jensen, but it's
right,
still like you buy something from them, and if like shoes, if they don't work, I've had to like
right.
return shoes before, you still have to pay for like all the shipping stuff. That's
Hmm.
still like an
Yeah.
11, $12 mistake. And it's like you can't just, do the
Yes.
Amazon thing where you buy like five different pairs
Yeah.
of something and
Yeah. Yeah.
sizes, try them all on, and then ship them back. Like you can't, it does
Yeah.
add up.
I also think too, and like this is sort of like I think ties into what we're saying is finding like equipment you're really comfortable with. Like there's certain
Mhm.
things that like I swear by. Like my 510 Free Rider Pros, like I swear by those. Those are like I'll never buy another mountain bike shoe. I know I posted in the group because I was curious, but like I put them, I rode something else because I have like a backup pair. And then
Mhm.
I got my new ones and I'm like, no, yeah, these are so much nicer. And like,
Yeah.
same thing with my, I don't have it in here. It's in my car, but the Elite, I think it's like Air Pro or Flex Pro, like chest protector is the most comfortable chest protector I've ever worn. And I will
Nice.
never not wear that. Like, it sounds stupid, but like somebody who's worn like shoulder pads their entire life, like it feels like has that like snug feel. And like I've tried different body armor and like it's uncomfortable. And I think that's kind of
Yeah.
something that like I kind of want to point out too is that if you're not comfortable in the pads and stuff you're wearing, like if it's taking your mind off of like the road for the lack of a better word, like don't wear that. Like try to find something better. Like don't you
Yeah.
know what I mean? Like I'm kind of contradicting myself here because I feel like I've sworn off knee pads, but it's more or less just like
That's crazy.
I just haven't bought a new pair yet, but like I'm at like I'm gonna get off of this call and I'm gonna look up a pair of knee pads. That's what I'm gonna do. And I'm gonna do my research. And listen, if you gotta bully me into it, it's fine. But like I bought
I'm
a
happily gonna bully you into saving your knees.
yeah. Who needs those anyway?
Who
I
needs
mean,
the knee pads, man?
yeah, man. Like, don't tell me what to do. It's like anytime you see like the clips of the videos on like Reddit or like wherever, it's like kids riding like huge jumps with their like no helmet on. Like, I'm just like, oh no. You're like, and that's so crazy because like when I was a kid, like I didn't grow up in the mountain bike scene, probably like
Yeah.
you guys did, but like no one wore a helmet in BMX. Like no one. Like
No,
it
yeah,
was
I
like
didn't.
uncool.
I started biking, I think in uh 22. Um, and like growing up, same thing. If I went to the skate park, if people were just like riding around, there were
Yeah.
no helmets. Even now, like I got a propane trick shot, like the dirt jumper, and I live
Yeah.
close to a skate park. Go there. When I was there, I was the only one ever in a helmet. I shouldn't say that. There was a couple kids who were doing some pretty big like bike stuff, and they were in some helmets, but the majority of people were not. And
It's so crazy to me,
I just
man.
don't get it, man. I'm like, you're literally one fall away from like death, like actual
Yeah. Yeah, no, and it's like I said, like I harp on this all the time, and I've said it, I think 2 or 3 times. Everything your spine and your brain do not heal. Like you only have one of those.
yeah.
Like it's for me, like I was very against body armor when I started at the bike park. And then I found the right one, and now I'm like, yeah, I'm never gonna not ride with this. Like this thing is amazing. Like, and it's um I think I do think that's like really important, especially being comfortable in the equipment you have.
And what kind of sucks though about that is like equipment expires.
It does, yeah.
Like
That's another
helmets
thing
have
too.
lifespans where
Yes.
they're in the integrity, of the MIPS of the foam, whatever is in there, it just deteriorates over time. So I think it's like a
You
3 to 5 year.
I was just gonna say you probably know better than I do. Like I think it's like 3 to 5 years or
Yeah,
something like
I
that.
think it
Yeah.
depends also on like the helmet manufacturer, but that's like, when I used to sell bikes or whatever, and someone would buy a bike, I'm like, all right, I don't want to be that salesman, but like, how old is your helmet? And they're like, oh, I've
Right.
been using the same one for like 10 years. And
God, no.
I'm like, we got to get you a new one. And they're like, oh, it's perfectly fine. I've never crashed on it. And I'm like, right. But if you do crash on it, there's no protection left. Like
Right. It's just
it looks
the
okay.
metal shell. Yeah, that's
Yeah. But
essentially
it's,
it.
but it's not. And that stuff's
It
like not cheap. Like that POC helmet
no.
behind you is like 300
That's
bucks.
that is a $300-ish dollar helmet, and then the Giro, I believe, is somewhere near that. But I will say, and this is kind of crazy aside, rode with this guy when I was in Virginia at Macedon, which is great if you're ever in that area. Awesome. Shout out to those guys. Great bike park. Um, Dude was riding like an original, like 15-year-old POC helmet.
No.
And I like didn't have the heart to tell him. I was like, hey, maybe I like kind of joking. He was like, maybe it's time for an upgrade. He's like, nah, I love this thing. I'm like, okay. But like it's crazy how far the technology kind of just has come because like
Yeah.
I didn't really notice it until I bought that Giro. It has the spherical technology in it where it will rotate with you. It's
Mhm.
even beyond MIPS and it's like it's so comfortable you don't even know. Like
Well,
you
yeah. And that's something that Seth like Burn Peak, whatever that Seth, he had a video about like the whole helmet thing. And he was like, one of the big reasons why people got accustomed to not wearing helmets is they were so uncomfortable.
Right.
But
Yeah. Yeah.
like
Yeah. Yeah.
helmets now are sick, like they actually feel good and they actually stop the sweat from getting in your eyeballs.
I tell people this all the time. I wish it was a Bell helmet because that was basically like back in the 90s, like that was like the only like helmet brand was like Bell. At
Yeah.
least like readily available near me. And the full face helmet I wore, had to be like 5 pounds. Mind you, I'm like this thing, it was just like welded together. It was like the
Yeah.
heaviest
You just
thing.
like,
Like you could back over it with your truck and you would be fine. But then it was funny because then the front, the chin, and then the visor were like the thinnest plastic. And it was like in hindsight, like at that time, it's what we had.
yeah, sure.
And like if that's all you know, you're like, "Oh, I don't want to. These are so bulky." It's like, no, there are some very light, very comfortable enduro full face helmets, and even downhill helmets like that Giro. I think is like 2 pounds. It's
Yeah.
not heavy, and it like what a game changer. Like, and I know it's a lot of money, and I do understand that, but like
But one brain.
one brain, one spine. If you take anything away
Like,
from
come
this,
on, guys.
like just especially on the helmet, like that, you do not skimp on a helmet.
But
Like
I also feel like though the helmet thing is like it's not that much of a debated topic in the mountain bike world. Like
no, I
I
don't
don't
think
I
so
don't think I've ever seen someone on the trails not
without
in a
one.
helmet unless they
Right,
were like climbing up a fire road or just on a climb, right? But I've never
right.
seen someone drop into a descent not wearing a helmet.
I agree. I think it's now become sort of like you said, it's a very socially acceptable thing now that like you wear your damn helmet. Like
Yeah.
just at the very least, like you know what I mean. There's so many like, and another couple two or three things too that like I'm very picky about that come with like it goes with safety too. Is I'm very picky about my grips, and I'm very picky about my pedals. Like
Okay.
if you're not comfortable on your pedals, like your point of contact on your bike, like that could very much get you hurt too. Like,
Talk to me about the grips though, because I have to get new grips that are thicker to help
okay,
like with my
right.
the hand fatigue now.
So as I said, was pretty new to the scene. Only started riding a couple years ago, and I would just buy like cheap grips, and then they would get really slicked down. But it wasn't bad because like wasn't really doing anything crazy. Then as I started progressing in the bike park, I'm like, oh, I need something a little bit better. And then I wound up making this mistake, and they're great. It's a great brand. It's the Death Grips. I think that's Brendog's brand, I think, or it's
Okay.
his grip. I wound up getting the super hard race ones, and it would cook my hands to the point where I after 2 or 3 laps, my hands were done. And my buddy goes, "Dude, why did you buy such hard grips?" I'm like, "I don't know what you're talking about. Like, what do you mean?" So then I wound up switching over to BergTech Bartender Super Softs, and
Okay.
I'll never run anything else for the time being. Like
What are they? Burtech?
BergTech Bartender Super Softs. They're very good. They're very cheap. I think they're like 20, $25. But like even something like as small as that, like, you don't want to fatigue your hands. Like it's important to be like comfortable with your equipment, I think, more than anything. Like you don't want to be like bombing down a hill and being like,
Yeah.
ow, my hands hurt. And it's like just
Yeah.
because you're braking, you know what I mean? Like braking shouldn't be like a strenuous thing you do. It should be like, hey, I'm braking. You know what I mean? So
And that's like as I'm coming back from this injury, I'm looking at like the bike that I'll probably come back on, like my Deviant Highlander is like my trail bike. That's what I'll,
hmm
rehabilitate my body with.
hmm
And I'm looking at doing some changes on it to make it more accessible for my hand. One of them is grips, like getting a thicker, just a thicker pair of grips so my hands don't have to like clench as much.
hmm
And then I'm also thinking about getting like a titanium handlebar because
right.
they're super expensive. So I'm not
I
quite
didn't
sure if
even know that that was a thing, I'll be honest
I
with you.
didn't either until I saw my friend's bar and I was like, what is that? And he says, it's a Roost handlebar, titanium. It's costs an outrageous amount of money. It's like $300 for a handlebar.
Right.
Um,
Yeah, that makes
but it's
sense.
allegedly like 30% more compliant. And so it's just going
Really?
to absorb a lot more. And that's again going to be a big strenuous factor is the rattling. And so if the bar can take more of the rattling than my hand, it's like
Well, of course, yeah.
that might be worth it, you know?
Interesting.
Um, but it's like,
That's,
yeah, I don't know. That's just such a big investment for, and
I
I
mean,
don't really like how it looks because it's titanium. So it looks like fully chrome. And I was like, I don't
yes,
know how that's going to turn out on that bike in particular, or like in the videos. Is it going to look weird? Um,
right.
but if it's going to help the hand, it's like same thing as the helmet. It's like, well, shouldn't I like look after my body, you
I
know?
wish I could say it's like something worth trying, unless your buddy would like let you ride the bike. Like, I don't know if he, yeah, I'm sure he would like try that way. But I do know titanium can get expensive because my lacrosse stick was made mostly titanium and it was like very pricey because I don't know if they forge that, but I think they might. The way they make it is what it's expensive. But
Is yeah.
would you ever consider using the those like moto grips, like the blockers? On the
Um,
handlebar just for like when you started back. I feel like those are kind
no.
of unnecessary.
Yeah, I think they're unnecessary. I think they're probably great if you're doing a lot of like tight single track that's potentially like overgrown
Right.
or getting super close to punching trees. But dude, I'm like a masochist. I wear my gloves are fingerless gloves.
Yeah,
Like
I've always noticed that and I'm like I don't know how you do it.
it's
Like
like the
I
same thing as like me looking at you not wearing knee pads. People look at
right.
me and they're like, how do you wear fingerless gloves? Like, don't your fingers just get cut up on like branches? And sure they have, but like
Yeah,
I like feeling the lever with my finger.
right.
That textile feel is really important. And also just the airflow. Like
Makes sense.
the airflow. But
You
no,
never
I
rode
think when
just
I'm
like bare
coming back,
hands?
you're what?
No, you never just rode like no gloves. This doesn't work for you.
No, I did no gloves like twice just because I forgot them and it was horrible. I hated every minute of it. So yeah, I like fingerless gloves the best.
It's
I'm
nice
not
and
gonna put the
comfy.
things over the bars, just because like when I come back, I'm gonna be doing like just green trails. Like I'm
Right,
really not gonna be doing anything until next summer. And so like
right,
I mean I shouldn't have any crashes, right? But I also like the crashing thing, going like full circle on it.
right,
I say like when I come back, I'm doing like a bunch of easy stuff, rehabilitation. I feel like we're at a certain level, like when you get into the upper intermediate advanced level, I could probably ride my bike and never crash again. Like
right.
I have that skill to be like, I'm going to choose these trails, go at this speed. I will, with 100% confidence, never crash. Right. It's
Yeah.
like you can get that in your mindset, but then are we still like flipping a coin? It's like, I don't know.
Yeah, I
Maybe.
mean, I think that the best thing, and that's like I like that attitude though, is like it is like the old cliche of like get don't get knocked off the horse type of thing, and like you get back on. I butchered that, but like you get the point of
Yeah.
what I'm
Yeah.
saying is like I love the idea of like there's a difference between being like cautious and being afraid, and you never want to like ride afraid because that is how because you'll lock up, you'll get stiff, you
Yeah.
don't want
True.
you don't want to that is how you eventually you will get hurt. But I do love that is like take it easy, ease yourself back into it, but at the same time too, you know having that confidence is important too, because it's like I remember, this is again this when I remember when I first rode after I broke my toe. It wasn't really fully healed, but I went back to the bike park and I was like limping around a little bit. And everyone's like, "You okay?" I was like, "Yeah, I'm fine." And like after the first run, I'm like, "All right, I got this. This is fine." And I'm sure like once you hit that first like double black trail, you'll be a little like, "See how my hand handles it." And then after a while, it'll just become like second
Yeah. I'd be like, all
nature.
right, I'm
But
back. I'm back on it. What can we do? Like,
exactly,
you
yeah.
know,
No, but the one thing actually I'm very curious: is there any equipment that you just cannot wear? Like I'm
any
very
equipment that I can't wear.
there's one thing I can't, and it's not really like safe. It's sort of safety equipment, but like I cannot do it.
What is it?
I can't do tinted goggles. I cannot do tinted goggles. I don't know why. I just like I feel like I'm like this the entire time. Like I
Even when
cannot
it's
wear.
like in the wide open.
We don't get a lot of that here. It's
Okay.
like very like it's there's only been like one place I've rode like that, and it was like I wore a half shell because it was so hot. Like so
Yeah.
I don't even like, so I like, if I always wear eye protection, I don't even like transition lenses on like the glasses that
Transition
I
lenses are
wear.
bad. I don't recommend that to anybody mountain biking. It's just the
Right.
lighting is too like the lighting fluctuates way too much
Right. Right.
that it's going to
Right.
be a hindrance.
Yeah, but I
But like the
can't do
tinted
tinted
thing,
goggles.
I wear glasses, like my prescription glasses.
Yeah.
But those are kind of a light tint, I guess. They're not like full,
Right.
I don't know, they're not full, but
Chromed.
yeah, they're not
I
like
mean,
full
don't get me
chrome.
wrong. I wish I could, because I would look so much steezier. I would look so much
Look fast,
better.
ride slow. What?
Oh, dude, absolutely. All gear, no idea. Like that's
Yeah.
the dude, when they see me on my bright friggin'
The
orange fake,
fraud. Look at
yeah,
him.
they'll be like, yo, that's the fraud. I'll be like, what up, dude? Honestly, also too, like, this has been great. I'm really glad we actually decided to do this. This is awesome. Unfortunately, the circumstances, I wish they were a little bit more positive, but I did get recognized for the first time this weekend at the bike
Yo.
park, and I was like, you
Yeah,
know
tell me
me?
about that experience.
Oh, dude, it was like I was in line for the race, and some guy was like behind me. I think his name was Andrew, super chill dude. I actually, if you watch my newest video, I got him to go down a pretty big rock slab because he's pretty beginner, but he was willing to do it. And I was like, I was hoping he didn't wreck it, but that's another thing too, is like being with your friends and as opposed to being by yourself makes a huge difference when it comes to riding, because there is that sort of fail safe too, but that is
Yeah.
um it was kind of weird because we were like sitting in line, and I was like, he was like talking about his times, and I told him the website to check the times. He goes, are you Denny? I was like, yeah, how do you know that? And he's like, dude, I see your videos all the time. I'm like, oh no. I was like, thanks for watching, man. And he's like, oh dude, you rip. I'm like, thanks. I was like, how did you know it was me? He goes, dude, your bike is bright orange. It's like hard to miss. And I have a Canfield too. It's not exactly like a super popular brand. So it's not like, he's like, yeah, your bike's pretty unique. I was like, yeah. I was like, I was pretty uncomfortable. I'm not gonna lie. And then it happened again under the next day. The
Let's
guy was,
go.
we were doing a lap, and I was like, hey man, we were talking to him. I was like, hey, my name's Dennis, and he's like, wait, are you the guy on YouTube? I was like, yeah. I was like, oh my god. I'm like, I don't like this. So it's like, I don't like this at
Dude, it's
all.
weird the first couple times. You're
They
like,
were all pretty cool about it,
whoa.
man, which was awesome. And like, I don't know, I just like, the way I see it is if I can make more friends out of that, like I'm really happy about that. I don't ever want, because we were sitting at the top of a run as I was doing a lap with the one guy who recognized me the first day, and he goes, oh, you're seeing your fans. I'm like, please don't refer to yourself as that. Like, I am like, I really, anything else, like like any other term would be okay. Like,
Yeah.
you're like a guy and I'm a guy. Like, I do not want to be an influencer. Like, please do not say that.
It is I think that's a cool topic for
Oh, for
like
sure.
one of these series is just like what's an influencer now? What's like a content creator? What's like a vlogger in this scene? I think that'd be just a cool thing to talk about of like, yeah, when you're getting
We've got
recognized
so
on the
many cool
trail.
things to
Yeah.
like. I'm really. I know this was like sort of tied into like you giving an update on how you're doing and stuff
Uh,
like that. And also, I'd love to. I like talking about the equipment, because I think that's something maybe that like is maybe just like, well, I'm wearing a helmet. It's like, okay, well, why are you wearing a helmet? Like,
yeah.
how comfortable are you in with that helmet? And I think that's something that people don't, maybe subconsciously don't think about. But um also too, by the way, we haven't really said it because we've been just frauding out, and we are frauds, obviously. Uh Down below in the comment section, talk feel free to chime in on this conversation.
Yeah.
And next video we'll read a couple out, and we'll be like, hey, these are a couple things, and we'll have a little discussion on it. And yeah, we'll go from there. We want everybody involved. We want everyone to be frauds.
Yeah.
We want you to be fraudulent.
Join the MTB fraud movement.
Yeah, dude, MTB frauds, dude,
And the
like,
MTB frauds. Yeah, this has been cool. If you guys also have so like Denny and I have been thinking about different topics like equipment's one,
yeah.
like the content creation world. There's so many like the professional scene. If you guys got other topics you want us to just like
I have so
talk
many
about,
opinions on the content creation scene.
yeah.
We might get kicked off the air.
So
uh
we'll be looking forward to those. yeah, thanks everyone for tuning into this. Go check out Denny's channel. Links down below. My channel's you're on my channel, I guess.
Well, go listen. But if you're not subscribed, subscribe to it. Okay.